All right, so we should be going live, and we're um, at 100% right here. So we're just trying to do and make sure everything is right. Look at my very serious face. I see that very much delay there on my very serious face trying to figure out the live stream process. But welcome, guys, back to another episode of Box Mining. You know, the setup's a little bit different here. Today is a Wednesday show. So during the Wednesday live streams, we're much more exploring in the altcoin territory of things. It's more of the Box Mining innovation zone that we're talking about, all the new stuff that's happening here. So obviously, it's extremely risky in this space. A lot of things can or may not work. And when you're innovating, things can get hacked. So just a warning out there for all those out there trying to listen to this and thinking, oh, this is the next hot thing. I've been discussing a lot recently about I don't know why, but yesterday I got roped into a podcast with a partial Bitcoin maximalist. How there's a lot of talk between Bitcoin versus altcoins versus all that jazz. Relatively this year, I almost promised myself never to do one of these conversations or this debates again because I felt like I've concluded for myself what I wanted, and I don't think I gain anything from new discussions. But I guess it's important to point out what some of my conclusions are. And it's important to remember that Bitcoin and altcoins are like meat and like apples. They're completely non-comparable in many circumstances. Yes, they're all cryptocurrencies, but it stops there. And in a lot of senses, what's going on the Ethereum space is not just about being a currency for the world, but rather being decentralized finance. Can we really cook up something that can replace the financial system as we know it? And either having an exchange that's decentralized, so stuff that happened on Robinhood wouldn't happen again, or even maybe how capital works, how capital efficiency works in a market with something like the Iron Bank by Cream or etc. something like that. So, anyways, that's kind of the premise of this. This is where this episode caters much more towards the altcoin side. For me personally, I think a lot of people don't realize this, but I separate out my portfolio. So like I kind of have like a partition for everything inside my brain. Sometimes I'll be like, yo, this is my Bitcoin section, and I don't touch my Bitcoin because HODL, right? It kind of works in this space. And then there'll be an Ethereum section, then there'll be an altcoin section, there'll be a DeFi section, there'll be a trading section. That's kind of like how I separate each portfolio out. And it kind of makes sense for me in that front. So today we're going to explore some of the. So for today's episode, I can just give you a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about today. We're definitely going to talk a little bit about the markets. We'll also go over some news. I got a lot of news prepared up for you guys over here. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about some altcoins that a lot of people are making these requests for altcoins, and we shall talk about them in today's episode. So that's kind of what today's topic is going to be like. So let's start off very quickly with just making sure everything is ready. I have no idea why. Yeah, so the audio seems very delayed here. So just make sure, guys, if the audio is delayed, please do tell me, and we'll get that stuff up. So anyways, with that, guys, let's get started and let's start the show. All right, taking a look at the main markets first and foremost. So first of all, we have Bitcoin and Ethereum staying relatively steady. So after the big scare that everyone was scared about on Monday, I remember everyone still had a little bit of fear in the markets. I felt like towards the end of Monday, once the markets recovered a little bit, everyone went apeshit crazy into altcoins. So you can see that in the past 24 hours, there's like some huge gains. Engine coin, I'm actually super happy with this one. It's yet another one of my medium bags in a video that I featured about. I was holding this. So I've been holding this for a relatively long time. By that, I mean like years on end. And seeing it at 86 cents is kind of crazy. So Engine, NEM, Energy Web Token, Arweave, even Curve is up, Theta, Brave. So we definitely see a lot of movement in the altcoin space, and it is definitely asymmetrical. So we definitely have more of alts reporting heavier gains than losses at this current point. The biggest loss is probably just Sushi down at around 10%. Let's go down to the top 200. Let's see what's happening in the altcoin space there. BSC pad just blew up. This is one of those things that I did miss out on. I saw it going on. I was trying to wait for a cheaper price, but yet again, it's, you know, these launch pads are just going bananas, ape shit crazy. You know, that's life in crypto. Argon Whale is up as well. Whale, yet again, it's like, it's these mysterious things that, like, once you go into the top 200, right? Once you go to 100 to 200, you'll definitely see that these markets can move a lot faster, but also at the same time, it's much more prone to manipulation as well. It's something that I do have to warn people about at this point. But you can definitely see that altcoin season is coming into to play yet again. A lot of people I'll go show you guys the altcoin index. I thought that was kind of interesting. So this is the altcoin index that I've been talking about and bringing back out here. So basically, towards January, it was kind of Bitcoin season. Bitcoin was rallying super hard. Every coin was waiting for Bitcoin to see what's going on. Even though this should not be the case, you know, like I said it previously, you know, this is not the case because technically speaking, it's comparing meat to apples, right? It's not a fair comparison, but in people's minds, it is, right? And when mainstream media talks about cryptocurrencies, they're like, oh, crypto, altcoins, Dogecoin. But honestly, they have nothing to do with each other, especially what's happening in the very much on the DeFi front and everything there, even the NFT front. Very rarely has anything to do with changing how sound money works, but rather about arts, collectibles, gaming, etc. So in terms of the altcoin season index, we're at around 61. So it could be a mini peak here, or it could explode. But typically speaking, if it's true altcoin season, we're gonna see around 87 there for the altcoin index. That's gonna be interesting here. So it's not full altcoin season yet, but it will be potentially soon. So that's kind of what everyone is looking at. So that's why kind of we see like it kind of makes sense right now. Like because Bitcoin and Ethereum are so steady, a lot of the kind of action and the eyes have gone straight to focus on the altcoins. And, you know, I sent this image out earlier. I think a lot of people also, this is actually not me sending out the image. In fact, it's Malvis. He sent out this image earlier. And this is like altcoins waiting to see what Bitcoin will do next. You know, the Bitcoin is here. It's hardcore. Bitcoin maximums are very hardcore. That represents most maximums I know. And whether he goes down or he goes up, it will completely decide what happens to the market. If Bitcoin craters, obviously the altcoin season is it's gonna take altcoin season with it, right? Because a lot of the attention focused on Bitcoin. A lot of pairs are paired with Bitcoin. So even though I still think they're not. I believe, and I think long term, the market's going to realize this. Even though long terms altcoins don't really shouldn't correlate because they do something completely different from Bitcoin, but because people are so confused on this, yeah, eyeing Bitcoin is important. So let's take a look. Let's take a very quick look and quick eye on Bitcoin right now at this current point. So Bitcoin, in terms of the market, is staying very much within this channel right here. So we saw the support coming in, kicking in at $46,000. Yes, we did dip below that. I did comment about that on Monday. This was a fear, right? On Monday, we dipped below what we saw was the support line. People freaked out. People were freaking out that maybe Bitcoin was going to go to 32,000 or maybe 20,000. I saw these both on the table. People were absolutely panicking. Altcoins, Bitcoin, all of them were just like freaking out on a Sunday, right? We saw like, you know, double-digit drops and everything. But Bitcoin right now is back. You know, it's kind of behaving in this channel, potentially eyeing some movements up as well. You can definitely see that support being very, very strong here. Very similar story with Ethereum as well. Yet again, Ethereum sitting in this channel still. It's not really having too much movement, and that's kind of why the altcoin season is coming in at this current point in time. We got also BNB moving all the way up to 240. This is where a lot of the action is now for a lot of the altcoins because it's so much cheaper. A lot of people who need to get their fix on altcoins need to trade their altcoins. They're migrating, and we definitely see that migration portal happening across the board. Like 1inch is moving there now. Like every single project that I pretty much know, it's like yeah, we're interested in like migrating partially to Binance Smart Chain. So that's kind of what's happening. So that's kind of the overall case here. I'm just reading the chat. A lot of people are talking about player. I definitely respect that community. In fact, I actually saw people were talking about spamming my channel about player conversations. So I do respect you guys. You guys want to hear news and updates, but a lot of the news and updates is under wraps right now. So I would say, guys, please, if Patrick will announce when he is ready. And at this current point, I'm not gonna spoil his party or anything, but he's doing some interesting stuff. Maybe good, maybe not. But you have to see. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I'd like to thank everyone for the comments. But I definitely saw what was happening, and at the same time, like, I definitely want us to have a good conversation here. But if there is spam on this channel, it will be removed relatively quickly as well. So please be respectful. Please be kind in the community, and that's the way we will always operate. So going to some comments, ACMMD says, where do you think BSC pad will be going? That's a good question. Yet again, that's a situation where I said it went 100x for some people. I respect that. This year I'm gonna say, congratulations to anyone who did super well on BSC pad. But at the same time, I don't think this is a valid entry point for myself. That's my personal opinion. It's up already 121% in the past 24 hours. It may be good, it may be not, but the risk is definitely there because there will definitely be some whales who entered at, a mere cent, and like not a mere cent, but if you think about it, they'll be entering at 1% of the current price. And yet again, it's a situation where there could be something really going on. I think this is definitely something that this is the next big battlefield, right? Because of how much cheaper it is to trade on BSC. We definitely saw the farms move there. Now the Launchpads, I know most Launchpads are announcing BSC support or support for BSC projects in this future. So I definitely see this as a very big battlefield, and I don't want to ignore it. But at the same time, I'm not going to offer any financial advice at the same time. I'm going to say for myself personally, this is not the entry point I'm looking for. And that's the most rational kind of conclusion I can hold to there. All right, so that being said, of course, let's go through the news quickly. So I've done through the chat. All right, let's go very quickly and talk about what's happening on the news front. So we got Litecoin creator draws parallels between 2021's NFT craze and 2017's ICO mania. Definitely. So we definitely see a lot more discussion about non-fungible tokens. I think, in fact, Paris Hilton was tweeting about that. We got Paris there. We also got Kim.com. He was tweeting about NFTs as well. We got one of the Paul brothers, Logan Paul, or is it Jake Paul? I always confuse those two. Apologies. But yes, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, has been the talk of the town, and we definitely see that heating up. Do I agree with Charlie Lee's assessment here? I definitely agree. There's so much mania about it right now. I think there is something here. One of the reasons for this mania is that there is something interesting that we can work on. I mean, it's also why Engine is exploding, because people are discovering, oh wow, they've done so much on the NFT space, right? So here is the problem, right? So they're saying, yeah, so NFTs have zero cost of creation, and you definitely see that artists can mint a token, just like how Nyan Cat was minted, Nyan Cat NFT. This is literally sold for $590,000, right? So this is a gold mine, and this interests a lot of people, right? This is why Paris Hilton and everyone here is, because they can issue these NFTs at zero cost and sell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you think about it, that's a lot of money. A lot of times, movie actors and stuff, they only make millions of dollars. They don't even make it's surprising. A lot of times the paychecks aren't that big, unless you're super, super big on top. If you're a B-list actor, or a C-list actor, $500,000 is a lot of money for you. So that kind of ends up to be why right now there's so much interest into this. There's going to be good and bad, all right? The way I see it is that this is going to create a new genre of collectibles. Just like how there's baseball cards, NFTs are going to become a thing. But of course, there is a mania surrounding it. And a lot of people who don't realize that this is an insane craze, um, will these Nyan cats and stuff continue to sell and retain its value? This is highly speculative, and yet again, I feel like um, it's hard for me to say anything. I'm not going to comment on the speculative side of things. I'm just going to comment and say, look, if you want to support artists and this is what you think is the right thing to do, I think that's kind of the value. So if I was ever to buy some NFTs that are crazy expensive, it would be to support the artist, and I wouldn't really speculate on it. I just don't see it's yeah, for me, I feel like creating the marketplace makes sense, creating the genre makes sense, guiding the genre makes sense, because I feel like because everyone's jumping into here, there needs to be some sort of play. I'm definitely helping out with NFT projects. I'm advising Chain Guardians. I'm also advising, obviously, you guys are a player, but I'm also on Refinable as well. So NFT projects, I definitely see there's something going on here at this current point, and there's definitely needs to be a lot of effort here, especially to clean out all the trash. So yeah, long story cut short, I definitely agree. There's a lot of mania here. May or may not be good. So in terms of the volume, and you can see there was $340 million trading volume. So this is the article on NFT Mania on decrypt.co. And yes, $34 million of trading volume. NFTB Top Shots is traded for $225 million. All the hype beasts are in. And yet again, when hype beasts are in, I'm very cautious. But, I'm not going to discourage people, but I'm just going to say, I'm personally very, very cautious about what's happening with everything. So, all right, we also got, let's see, we also got Ramp DeFi. They have, they're moving to Binance Smart Chain. Everyone is doing these yellow portals recently, but it makes sense. It makes sense. So I've been talking to Ramp previously before. You probably saw the interview with Lawrence, and they're about unlocking value on blockchains, right? Give me 1 second. Sorry, I have my door being open. Just give me. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening in the box mining ecosystem. First and foremost, if you guys like listening to all that's happening in crypto on the go, then I would highly recommend you checking out the Box Mining Bitcoin Out of the Box podcast. And the reason why it's called Bitcoin Out of the Box is because we have long interview segments very much exploring the detail of the newest and latest of what's going on in this whole cryptocurrency space. Whole idea of it is to bridge that gap between knowledge. I like to take the time now to tell. Oh yes, no sound, no sound, no sound. Thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for that. So you guys just saw me lip read Moneygram, but anyways, let's apologies for that. Apparently my volume was not muted. So volume is back. Double checked it here. We should be good. Thank you guys for pointing that out. So let's so very quickly on, let me just wrap up the ramp thing. So yes, ramp is moving from Ethereum. They're actually unlocking value on multiple blockchains, right? So they allow locked assets to be converted into a ramp currency that can be moved across chain, so they can unlock that value. And that's one of the powers of decentralized finance. So if you're locked in to say an IOST and you're farming a node, you can migrate that value because you can have proof that those funds are there. So Ramp is moving to Binance Smart Chain. I think that's pretty cool. We also got this argument here. So this is Moneygram. So Moneygram is facing a lawsuit by Rosen Law Firm that announced that they are suing Moneygram on behalf of those who bought Moneygram securities between June 2019, and February 22 of this year. They believe that these investors need compensation after Ripple got into hot water with the SEC. Interesting. I mean, I think these things will always happen. I'm not going to take sides here. I think this is a prime time for Ripple bashing, but I think this year I promised myself not to be tribal. I think that would be a tribal move to do. But I feel like this space is still super early, and I think a lot of people need to be very, very careful at this current point. Whether or not MoneyGram will actually use Ripple, who the hell knows? But at the same time, I think there's still a lot of regulatory unclarity in this case, and we'll have to see how it goes. That's going to be one interesting thing. But at the same time, long-term wise, right? Long-term wise, like talking about MoneyGram and everything here, I feel like the long-term objective is to just not have MoneyGram. I mean, if that makes sense for you guys. You're able to send cryptocurrencies around the world for a very, very fractional cost. And I think that's the long term. Like if you're talking about 5 to 10 years down the road, that's going to happen. So in Hong Kong, we definitely had a few services that are talking about remittance and being able to send currencies across the world. But whether or not which technology platform is going to go on, that's going to be a very, very big question. And optimally speaking, it should be Bitcoin, to be honest, because Bitcoin being the more of the currency focus of all the cryptocurrencies, being the most decentralized with the most number of miners and nodes supporting it, that would make sense. But yet again, it depends on how well the Lightning Network will operate and how we're kind of still very much in the beta phase of this. So I definitely see in the future that you won't need to pay exorbitant fees, whether it's MoneyGram, Western Union, or even TT. Like recently, I've been dealing with having to send some currency, like for fiat currency, to Australia, of all places. It's freaking expensive. Like I complain about Ethereum fees, but this is just on a whole new level of things going on. So there we go. That's kind of what's happening there. We also have Ethereum blockchain is now managed. Ethereum is now available on Amazon managed blockchain. I think we saw this coming. So Amazon, they've definitely been eyeing the cryptocurrency marketplace, and they're saying, okay, look, instead of just directly speculating, they've obviously what's going on, and they're building services around that. So they rather sell tools than to speculate in this current point. So that's a smart decision. I guess they don't have to have any exposure, but at the same time, building out tools is very important for developers in this space, and it just makes things a lot easier. So yes, they are providing provision Ethereum nodes for people who are wanting to have that data. This is actually going to be quite useful if you are thinking of your own private node. I've known people who are wanting to host their own private Ethereum nodes, so they can have two reasons. Well, one is so that they can help the network. The second is also because if they want to have a faster connection, like a faster transaction send, having a node actually helps. So you don't have to rely on inferior infrastructure or whatnot. That actually becomes quite valuable at some point. So we also have, let's see what's happening on that news front. Cardano. This is for the Cardano funds guys out there. Cardano becomes a multi-asset blockchain with today's hard fork. So today marks Cardano enabling new tokens. Oh my god! So it is happening. So as much as Cardano has been very slow. Now Cardano can support multiple tokens. Yay! And then that'll be on the way to smart contracts. Yay! Hopefully it'll be done soon. But we'll have to see how that timeline realistically looks and what sort of virtual machine it supports. So that'll be interesting. Okay, so I've got a lot of comments here talking about Litecoin and everything going on. I think I don't know, I think, let's see. Let me just read the comments about everything. And here, Mr. T Time says you're muted. Yeah. Yeah, dude, engine is blowing up right now. Yeah, it's comments, man. It's comments. The whole world is crazy. And yet again, it's like it's a situation where for me on this channel, yeah, engine is still blowing up. It's still moving up. I love to cheer for coins, but I always find it very dangerous to speculate during a run. I typically try to enter positions beforehand. So you guys probably know, like, I'll be cheering on the sidelines, but I'll definitely be downplaying my excitement on this channel for sure, because obviously, the whole point is to try to get into and enter positions prior to something mooning, right? Then obviously you'll get your massive rewards, whilst if you're entering a position whilst it's mooning, not financial advice of course, but your risk factor goes up a lot more, right? Because potentially early investors can just dump on your face, and I've seen that happen multiple times. And I think the biggest example for that personally for me would be MTA. Like, I saw there was something interesting going on. I entered a position, and I suffered a huge loss because it mooned literally from $1 to, actually not even $1, from like 30 cents to like around $12. And whilst I did find what I deemed to be a suitable position at $7, it also became very risky for me. So yet again, it's a situation where this year I've been trying to find positions on early, and yeah, Engine's one of them. I talked about Engine around half a year ago during my medium bags video. It's something that I've been holding on for a hell of a long time. They're doing some major NFT plays. There's also some stuff in the pipeline that is going to be pretty that deals with scaling directly, and yeah, that's going to be super hot. So anyways, congratulations. All right, so let's talk about a few altcoins that I've been recently looking at. I think this is the kind of the innovation zone, so you guys have been warned. It's definitely going to be more of a talk about everything that's going on. So first of all, Finnex Flow is something that I'm definitely have a position in right now. So what they are is they're a liquidity aggregator. Yet again, we definitely saw that with DeFi coming up and being able to kind of unlock the potential of a lot of assets, being able to have a hybrid where you combine centralized finance and decentralized finance would be quite important. They're based in Singapore and they're doing a lot of materials there. So that's one thing that I do have a position in. We also have Odds, which is a multi-chain option trading platform. So this is yet again, it's very, very interesting because this year we've seen that decentralized exchanges work, right? It's very, very disruptive. If you look at how Uniswap completely changed how the centralized finance, how Binance and coins operate, right? Because once Uniswap got popular, the whole centralized finance system just went ape, because they knew that if they didn't start listing coins, if they didn't start being aggressive, their cake is literally being eaten right in front of them by Uniswap or by PancakeSwap on BSC, or even Sift Chain that's recently coming out on Cosmos. So having the option to, of course, do options, like so do futures trading becomes very important. Being multi-chain is important. So this is something that is definitely the ultimate dream, but it's also very hard to achieve. So Odds, I think, they're trying to build something very powerful. They're trying to combine BSC, Polkadot, Ethereum, which are the top 3 most popular chains right now. And in terms of execution, if they manage to do it, this is going to be fantastic. Now, we also have Sift Chain. So Sift Chain is something that I've been exploring recently. There's going to be a lot of interest. So recently, Sift Chain is something that a lot of people love because of how Cosmos can be interoperable, and also in terms of how they kind of structure the exchange, and that it does prevent more impermanent loss than regular Uniswap. So this is actually going to be something interesting because Sift Chain is its own chain. So the transactions are all done on Sift Chain itself. It is a Cosmos chain. So I've been trying to experiment. I've installed the Kepler wallet. I've also pegged coin currencies and try to move them over. Right now, the process itself is not super clean. So if you actually look at how you do it, you're supposed to have to bind your MetaMask wallet. So very quickly. So this is the process, of course. You bind your MetaMask wallet, then you bind your Kepler wallet, right? So you have these 2 wallets, you bind them, and then you'll be able to peg assets and move them across. So if you have Ethereum, so say for example, I have 5 Ethereum here, I can peg it and move it across from Ethereum chain to Sift Chain. And I think why this is interesting and why I'm talking about this is because this can be across multiple chains because of the way how Cosmos works and how Polkadot works. I'm going to discuss the details and the comparisons between them because there's a lot of similarities. But the way that these chains are designed is that it allows for this interoperability, right? This communication across multiple blockchains. So that's what's happening on Sift Chain. You can move assets, you can peg assets from one chain to the other chain and then trade it on Sift Chain. And this offers a lot more opportunities in the future as well, because then you can peg assets from multiple chains and trade them all in one basket. And kind of what happens is that because you can do that, it kind of combines the power of the entire ecosystem there. It's kind of crazy. Like you talk about it, it's kind of crazy, right? But this is what is happening. We also have DAO Square. It's kind of interesting. A lot of DAOs are popping up. This one is very much based in China. So China is also getting a lot of exposure to the DAO concept. I think this is something that it definitely worked out very well. So if you look at, the DAOs are out there, like the Duck DAOs, the Karma DAOs, the DAO Ventures, the, what is it? DAO Maker. Oh my God, there's an infinite list of DAOs, but decentralized governance is becoming very, very hot. And that's because they can build communities, right? I think that's one of the reasons why it kind of works, is because people can build communities out of it and they can structure it. Now, we're still very experimental into the DAO phase, but something that I think is quite interesting is that this is very much a global phenomenon at this current point. And that's why, yeah, they just recently completed a raise. Now, also looking at the Launchpads, we have TrustSwap Launchpad. They're launching Bitcash Pay. So if you guys know, TrustSwap also has a Launchpad where they launch projects. Recently, they launched Sota and Bitcoin Vend. So this, I think recently from my chats, they're going hyper aggressive very, very soon. So definitely pay attention to this. In order to participate, you must have the swap token locked in the contract. So you have a time weighted average for how long you staked it. So the longer you stake it, the more you qualify. That's how these things work. Now, we've been also paying attention a lot to Rari Capital. A lot of people are talking about the yield farming opportunities here. It's basically like people have been describing this as like Wi-Fi on steroids, right? So a lot's been happening on this front. So I've been also looking at the DeFi thing. Now, Rari Capital also got pushed down recently a little bit because of how kind of DeFi got taken back a little bit because of the recent number of hacks. I think this is yet again something that DeFi has to deal with, right? So it kind of fell from $12 to $9. It's okay. So yet again, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, we'll see how it goes. Because like definitely I saw what's happening on the DeFi space. It's like projects like Cream got taken back quite a bit because of people just freaking out, and people who don't understand what was happening also freaking out. And Alpha got taken back as well because of the Alpha Cream Homura thing. So yet again, it's a situation where a lot of people didn't understand. When FUD comes, it definitely spreads very relatively quickly in this space. But at the current point, I definitely see the innovations coming in and becoming hyper important for what is coming up next. So yeah, those are the things I've been looking at. Also, Cyberfight is also doing super well recently. This is one of those like sleepers that I had exposure to, and like I knew that they were building a lot of stuff, right? They're building a lot of automation stuff, and this was very surprising, right? I was been hodling them for like at $3, and they're at 20 something. So yet again, it may not be the best entry point, but at the same time, the stuff that they're building is hyper important because they're building automation with what we're seeing with how the yield farming is coming back, being able to essentially automate certain actions on blockchain becomes super important at this current point in time. And yet again, it's one of those situations where like the more someone asks to talk to me, the more eager I know they are. So this is one of the cases where Cyberfight guys were like constantly messaging me like, here's an update, check this out. And this is actually a really good sign going forward with everything there. We got edit names. Says, do you see the ZKSwap FUD? That was kind of hilarious. So talking about ZKSwap, obviously, some major dumps happened on ZKSwap. Obviously, it's still better. The entry point is still up from when I entered. I entered at around 30 to 40 cents, but I've got two 100% airdrops in the meantime. So ZKSwap is interesting because there's a lot of confusion between ZKSwap and ZK-Sync, right? So ZK-Sync is kind of the original one. They how do you phrase this properly? I think that I'm gonna offend some people here. Just a warning beforehand. So ZK-Sync accuses ZK-Swap of copying their code and launching a product and launching a knockoff product, right? And I think part of that is true because the code base, there are similarities, and I think there is a fork there somewhere. And this goes to show how kind of like savage blockchain is. I mean, if ZK-Swap is the original one, ZK-Sync essentially managed to copy the code, modify the code, get it working, launch a product, deploy it on mainnet, pump their coin, then subsequently dump their coin and probably repump their coin again, all in the space of time when ZK-Sync hasn't launched anything. So talk about aggression in this space. This space is savage. Yeah. Like, do I agree with these actions? Not really. Like, I don't think, you know, I feel like this space is just savage AF. I don't want to promote savagery, but at the same time, it's savage AF. The market is how it is. And now ZK-Swap already found where the support line is, right? Like, they're close to discovering where the supports are and where it's going to move forward, and they have a community already. So yeah, the moral of the story is you got to move fast or not release your code. I think this is also why Uniswap v3 is hyper secretive. Like, no code samples are released, and I think this is quite important. Like, if you release code, definitely someone's going to copy it, and we definitely seen that going around pretty much everywhere. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of a little bit crazy on every front. Okay, we actually got a good question going on as well regarding shadows, linear, and synthetics. So let me go very quickly and talk about that very quick as well, because that goes on the crypto space. So Shadows is a synthetics assets platform. So they're based on Substrate. They're more on Polkadot. We got Linear, which is linear.finance, which is also synthetic assets platform. They're more focused on BSC, Binance Smart Chain side of everything. And we also have Synthetics, which is the original one, Synthetics Exchange, which is, if I can't spell it right, Synthetics, that's, come on, SNX, please. So Synthetics Network Token, which is also doing synthetic assets. So this is becoming one of the biggest battlefields, and I think this is definitely a situation where there's going to be more, because this is something that's super hot, right? The ability to create a synthetic version of something. And I think the easiest one to explain is the DAI. It is a $1 coin, right? So it's the DAI is meant to be a synthetic asset that's pegged to $1. It's always meant to be worth $1, and it's backed by Ethereum and other assets. So this is something that's super interesting, right? And for the longest time, I felt this was hogwash. Why do we need this? But it's becoming very apparent in a time when stablecoins are extremely centralized, and there's a lot of risk of centralized parties. Having a decentralized stablecoin like the DAI based on backed by cryptocurrencies is very important. And Synthetics takes this to a new level, right? So you can not just issue out, say, a $1 collateralized coin, but you can do stocks. You can do any asset out there. You can be as imaginative as you want. You can make your own synthetic version of gold or synthetic version of platinum or some weird tradable asset. So this idea is blowing up in people's minds. I definitely see that this is talked about, but not very heavily traded. So I'll put that there, that this is still super early on. Even if you look at Synthetics, they created SUSD and they created a lot of assets and stocks. The trade volume of this does not go anywhere near something like the volume on, say, FTX or even on Robinhood or on major stock exchanges. It's not comparable. But at the same time, it's a very interesting concept, and people are talking about like kind of what are the regulations around this? Could this be something very powerful to get people to expose themselves to assets that are like say they don't have legal access to it for the full asset? Can they have the synthetic version of the asset? And can this reach markets where otherwise cannot be reached? Very, very interesting idea. So those are the three that people have pointed out: synthetics, linear, and shadows. I'm definitely have positions in all of them. I feel like a lot of people look at the comparisons, but I think it's too early to say. Like the reason why is because you need to look at the execution of the platform, and to run an exchange, something I realized is when you're running an exchange, you have to be ultra aggressive. So even if the tech here, and I think each tech approach is very different, right? So if it's based, some synthetics is based on ETH as a backbone, linear based sitting on BSC, shadows going on building on substrate, so Polkadot. So even the tech backbone is going to be different and execution is going to be different. So at this current time, I'm not going to call any sides. I feel like it's important to look at the details, and I have exposure to all three at this current point in time. So that is pretty much the thoughts on that. BNB to the moon. Check XRP, please. Oh my god, XRP guys coming back up. So I think I'm gonna limit. Like I know this topic is gonna be around a lot of recommendations, etc. coming up. I'll definitely want to talk about more currencies and be kind of um, um, catering to this. But I definitely see a lot of requests coming up. So I think we're going to make similar rules to on the Telegram chat. So you guys know I have a private Telegram channel, and it works really well because we kind of create the community. And what we want to see is we want to see when people give something and take something from the table. So I think we're going to move the discussion on YouTube to this as well, because a lot of times what we see is people just shouting out, oh, check this out, check that out. And to be frank, right, I love to hear your comments, but at the same time, it's overwhelming. It's super overwhelming. So I'll definitely want to see some certain reasons coming into this chat, and I'll be more capable of answering to people if they have a direct reason for why X and Y and Z is good or not. So something like XRP is pumping hard, or NMR would be something that I wouldn't directly respond to. I don't think it makes sense. But if you guys have a good suggestion to put forward, I think that makes a lot more sense to help grow this community. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like I know a lot of people, they want to support their bags and kind of cheer for their coins. This is a mentality I definitely want to avoid this year, mostly because it's not helpful to play sides. That's what I kind of feel like. For me, this year has always been about balancing a portfolio, choosing what makes sense on my front, and I definitely want to encourage more like discussion on everything. So if you guys are definitely interested in having inputs, input this into the chat, but also put your reasons as to why. So say, for example, a particular product is releasing, certain volumes or milestones are being met. That will be super helpful for any of these contributions coming in. It just means that, you help me, I help you on this situation where you give me some information that I can work with and help on you on, and that makes a lot more sense. So yet again, so instead of direct shows, give me some reasons as to why. We got one last question that I'll definitely answer. This relates to Binance farming and the kind of trend that's going on. So someone asked about Viking Swap and all the kind of farms that's going on in Binance Smart Chain. So BSC, there's Goose DeFi, there's Viking, there's Taco, there is Alpaca, there is Nuts, there is UFO. I think through the last few weeks, the number of farms on Binance Smart Chain has just been absolutely insane, right? And this is very much almost like a revival of yield farming, which is great. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain about this because as a farmer, as a yield farmer, I'm having a great time. I'm having a super time, getting much higher yields on my stable coins, on my other coins. Like BSC farming has also allowed me to move some of the coins, like say DOT, for example, move it and get 100% or 200 or sometimes 500% APY on these coins that I would otherwise be holding on Binance or on my own wallet, and it does nothing, right? So being able to have these assets and farm with it is just truly amazing. But that being said, of course, a lot of people who are entering in the mining scene don't understand that this is highly speculative, and yet it's a situation where I feel like a lot of these coins and a lot of these farms there's an overload of farms right now, and this is exactly what kind of happened all the way back in 2020, late 2020, when something like it's the kind of funny thing is sashimi, right? Sashimi. I'll give this as an example. Sashimi came late in the farming game, and the prices of sashimi itself just plummeted completely, right? It got obliterated. And this is one of the risks that can happen, right? So let's just take a look at 1 year here. Sashimi launched at around $3, and then they just plummeted to around 1 cent. So this is something that I definitely want to warn people about with yield farming, is when you have exposure to the native asset, it could be extremely detrimental. And why it brings sashimi up again is because recently they launched on Binance Smart Chain. So they launched their own sashimi.cool on BSC. And yet again, the prices were also highly, highly volatile. I think it just plummeted like crazy yesterday as well. It was just, it was kind of crazy to watch that. But I think what's important to remember is that if you're a farmer, you'll be eyeing opportunities which are more or less on the farms themselves. So there's always this distinction between something that is a pool two. If you use the old farming terminology, pool two would be assets that are linked with the native asset. So Viking and BSB USD, that will be linking it together. This would be extremely dangerous because you're exposed to the Viking asset itself, right? So when Viking dumped from like 60 to 15, there's going to be a huge amount of impermanent loss, and it takes down the entire. Even though it's paired with BUSD, you're going to lose majorly on both fronts. You're not going to be able to withdraw the same amount of BUSD out. Look into impermanent loss if you don't understand what I'm saying. But rather, for something like if you're in the armory and you just deposit your USD and you're getting Viking for free, if Viking drops in value, then your loss is only on your yield side, right? Your loss is, the stuff that that's being distributed to you, the free stuff, it's just not as valuable anymore. So my analogy with this before was like going to Costco and going to eat the free food. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm shameless about it too. A lot of times I deposit, say, my DAI or say my DOT or my cake, and I get 100% APY. And even 100%, I don't really mind it too much at this current point. It's still better than nothing. Obviously, of course, you have to remember that there's a deposit fee, so it's not completely free. So it's like Costco. There's an entry cost to go into Costco, right? But you get full afterwards in the free food section. I guess that's the best analogy. But yeah, that's kind of the case here. So so be very careful. I definitely saw a few more farms come in. So for example, I think there was Yoda Nut and there was UFO. They both all plummeted in initial value very, very quickly. So guys, be very careful. We're towards the end of the farming season. I think a lot of these projects, they'll have to really do something quite special to survive. And it's no longer like I'm spending a far less time on it. I'm also degening far less into these farms. I think last week was great. I degenerated and just went into a lot of these farms, and it worked very well for me. But at the same time, this is what happened towards the end of 2020 farming, where because the number of rug pulls is higher, the number of scams is higher, the volatility is higher, you might not get what like these numbers say, right? These numbers are spot. So if you look at Taco as well, I think Taco has a little bit better numbers at this current point in terms of their trucks. Yeah, they're around 300%. This 300% is only, this right now, but going to tomorrow, depending on the prices of Taco or whatnot, this can change drastically. So I just wanted to point that out very quickly. So yep, so that's kind of what's happening on the yield farming front. This is kind of bound to happen because of the fever. It's dying down a little bit, but then that's also when clarity comes. Also, I would just want to reply a little bit to Moonboy. I said this a little bit earlier, so I will answer requests, but at the same time, you have to give something to do something. So just asking me to cover something, I think is not very helpful. But if you say specific reasons on why you want to look to a project, etc., that will be very helpful. And I think I'm gonna be very anal about this going on in the future. I definitely see. Today I saw a lot more requests for projects and talks about that I cannot handle at all. But so it's a situation of you help me, I help you. And I want to breed that culture as well. So if you guys can help me respond to that in the chat as well, if people are asking me to show a particular coin, yeah, let them clarify, let them give some alpha as well, give some insight, maybe some research that they're doing, maybe share some intelligence about some new releases or launches or something like that. That will be a lot more helpful than purely saying, okay, talk about this, because yeah, I don't think I'll respond to that in the future. So thank you, Moonboy. I appreciate that you have reef bags. I definitely have reef bags too, but I'm just gonna try to breed the culture on these live streams. It makes a lot of sense for me. Also, same thing as well with Purple Ripple saying BSC pad going parabolic. I also voiced my opinion on that as well. I definitely never enter positions when something does go parabolic. The risk is just too crazy for me. It's not for me. So that's gonna be that's my comment on that. So all right, so I'm gonna take a look at people. People want someone else to blame. This is yet again, I think, like we're at a point where it's interesting because I definitely see a lot of tribalisms coming up in chat as well. Something that's kind of interesting, I think, is like tribalism happens towards the start of a bear market, right? So I definitely see that. I definitely see more tribalism happening now. So this is definitely something that it's a sign that people are worried, right? So that worries me as well, that people are so tribal at this current point where, they're saying my coin is the best, someone else's coin sucks, right? So this is going to be very interesting to see how it goes on. I think yeah, like I'm definitely eyeing on the cryptocurrency communities for tribalism. And it is one of the earliest signs of the next bear market, because that means people are worried that their coins may not go up, or they're worried about the positions. And if people are, and that's why they're going very much out there to kind of attack other communities or trying to steal other communities, because they're not very confident about their own, right? And when that happens, that usually leads to collapses in prices, because the next thing after tribalism is sell-offs, right? Because they'll just capitulate. So I'll definitely be very, very careful. I'm definitely being more careful after seeing how much tribalism there is in this market. And we are nearing a stage where the growth is a little bit crazy. I do believe that more is coming, but I'm definitely on the watchful eyes out for what I would be looking as indicators for fear in the market. So I'm definitely out there as well. So yeah, I'll definitely be in there trying to look this out. So I'll see how that goes, and yet again, I'll give you guys another report. Mr. Tea Time Crypto says, did tribalism even end? I feel like crypto has always been kind of cultish. Yes and no. I think like towards the start, like when I started this channel, I felt like there wasn't a lot of tribalism. So when I started out box mining, I did these nutshell videos, right? I did, X and Y in a nutshell, whether it's like whatever people requested, right? Like at that time, I think I've been like anything like ADA, Cardano, Ethereum in a nutshell, Nano in a nutshell, Ripple in a nutshell, like basic explainers of everything. And I felt like even at that time, like I didn't understand the kind of the tribalism around Ripple at the time when I first started this, YouTube. I didn't understand the culture around this, right, and how some people are, very anti Ripple, some people love Ripple. But when I did that video, I remember even on doing the Ripple in a nutshell video, um, there wasn't much tribalism in the comments. Right, it was a period. 2017 was a period, like early 2017. That was when there was a lot of like community growing where like we can all win together. So it wasn't as tribal as it is now. I felt like 2018, 2019, 2020, that was like super tribal. And towards the end of 2020 and towards the start of 2021, I felt like the tribalism went down a lot, right? The market itself is all growing. And I think um like at least with the videos and stuff, I felt like there wasn't as much aggressive tribalism. I do see it like the moment that the markets dropped on Sunday, that the amount of tribalism just went up, right? So I think it really depends on the market and um how it works. I think that's kind of the way it is. I feel like right now there's definitely a lot more people who are concerned, especially after having two major drops in cryptocurrency prices. Everyone is moving out of kind of their delusions of grandeur, right? Because for the um past month or so, crypto prices just kept going up. So everyone was just ecstatic, and they think they're like the best investors in the world because they made these major gains, they outperformed Wall Street, etc. But once the markets start falling, I think their ego suddenly, like a lot of people's egos suddenly shrank, and tribalism came back. But so this is generally speaking, this makes crypto a lot harder now. We're nearing kind of the mid of that altcoin season. Um, I'm looking out for signs. I'm definitely looking out for signs on that talk as well. Um, Jordan Miller says, I mean, Ripple, BTC Maxis, and more recently, ETH heads have been pretty tribal for the past few years. I definitely agree. I mean, like take for example, on Binance Smart Chain, I think, I definitely don't see them as big competitors. I think, yes, Binance Smart Chain supports ETH contracts, but at the same time, ETH is much more decentralized. I don't think Binance Smart Chain is at that point yet. So it's really for different purposes, right? But we saw ETH, like this is the accusation. We saw someone creating something like was a slave auction farm on Binance Smart Chain. Like this is just like WTF, right? And there was another one with like tenement tanks or something, trying to see if the Chinese government will ban that. So you definitely see that tribalism there. I think this is yet again, it's one of the least helpful things in crypto. I would try. I'm speaking out against it. I feel like this is the least helpful thing around here. I'm just gonna roll my eyes, and I'm gonna keep an eye on it. If it does grow, yeah, that will be a very big cue for potentially mid market to end of market. That's my current thought about that. Um, Superman asks, which will be the most bullish projects in a month? Binance Smart Chain or Cardano? Man, Binance Smart Chain already moved a lot, so I'm very cautious with Binance Smart Chain, to say the least. I know I had positions, I entered positions at around $18, and it's doing super well, right? 250, I can't argue with that. So, but yet again, it's a situation where I definitely say, look, it moved a lot. Definitely be very cautious. Cardano, I think, is on a whole new level of. I have no idea when stuff is going to be delivered. I think I discussed this quite extensively on the Telegram channel. I'll tell you guys my internal bias, and you guys process what I say on this, right? So Cardano was one of the projects that I was very, very heavy on. Like I love the way Charles talked. In fact, I invited Charles on this channel in 2017. But it's also one of the projects that gave me the biggest amount of disillusionment, where all this great stuff, back in 2017, Charles was talking about deploying, like, say, um, a compatible engine for Ethereum virtual machine, because he was working at that time, was trying to save Ethereum Classic. And he was like, oh, we can deploy, I learned so much from it. I can deploy an EVM and allow Cardano to support Ethereum virtual machine and Ethereum smart contracts. But at the same time, we can move multiple languages. There's multiple virtual machines being developed. There's cross-chain interoperability. He was giving like lecture styles things about cross-chain interoperability. He was saying like scaling, proof of stake, Ouroboros. None of that got delivered in the timescale that we thought it would be delivered on. And I feel like this is a situation where I know Charles can talk the talk, but can he walk the walk? That is the other big issue here. So Charles Yang says, does Cardano even work? Well, it doesn't work for smart contracts, but if you want to just transfer Cardano around there, like, it could work. And right now they deploy multi-assets, so you can move multiple assets around there. Charles, even though he was bashing Ethereum, he's launching multiple asset support, so they can launch their own coins on Cardano. So I feel like Charles definitely can talk. He's one of those people who can really, really talk really well. But at the same time, I'm very cautious to the delivery side of him. So who knows? I mean, yeah, I'm definitely very cautious with Cardano. By the way, thanks so much, Charles, for your comments as well. I love Charles. Charles #1. But yeah, right now, sure, you can support multi-assets. Sure, there's a light version of proof of stake, but it's nothing like what he promised us in the original papers. So yeah, can they deploy in a reasonable amount of time? That's my biggest worry. And it was kind of depressing, right? I think a lot of Cardano holders will probably agree with this, but when Cardano was, promising all this stuff, it was a time when blockchain 3.0 was also talking about all these scaling methods and stuff. Like, for example, say there's Polkadot, which is coming out at that time, the Algorand coming out, and there was this Hashgraph. At the blockchain 3.0s, Charles was talking, oh, we're gonna beat all these 3.0s. But 3.0s are out, Algorand is out. They're building a community. Polkadot is close to deployment. We got Hashgraph also quite close to deployment. When Cardano. The biggest issue I see with Cardano is I don't see the smart contracts coming in maybe for another 4 or 5 years, to be honest. We'll see. I mean, that's kind of realistically what I feel about Cardano. So I don't know. Like, people who love Cardano love Cardano. I know YouTubers generally love it, and then we got people bashing YouTubers for loving it. Cardano, I think Charles can definitely talk. I love hearing him speak, but I'm very cautious about that. That's my 2 cents on it. Congrats if you guys are on the bandwagon. I'm happy for you guys. Like I said on my tweet, I'm very happy for you guys, and I hope the delivery comes. And I hope it comes much faster than 4 or 5 years. I hope it can catch on, and I hope that works. And that's my talk. So to answer your question, Supo, neither would be my answer right now. Like, in terms of like the big discovery, both I'll be very cautious on, but at the same time, I hold BSC. I do not hold much ADA at all. Pretty much that's it. Charles is busy pumping his ego, food blogging, trying to make young women to make ADA do something useful. Charles is really great Charles can talk the talk. He also has a giant ego. I've also said I've invited him to my channel. Pretty much some time ago, I invited him, but because I tweeted something about China and there was a Cardano conference there that the Cardano Foundation did not like, Charles decided not to come on my channel and do an interview. And I'm still a little bit salty on that, because I feel like in terms of his complaints, he complained that this was not the event that I posted was not an official Cardano event. And I actually explicitly said on a tweet it wasn't an official Cardano Foundation event. But because of the way it's presented, I felt like his ego was definitely damaged and bruised during that event, and he refused to come on the interview. So I felt like that actually violated my right to have to report on what is happening. I don't think you can cherry pick in crypto, like, oh, cherry pick the events that are great and cherry pick the events that you don't like, and then you get offended and you don't go on people's interviews and channels because of that. Yeah, I felt like that was quite unnecessary. So, anyways, my salt, salty. Now, who has the ego? Salty. Anyways, yes, I also have a gigantic ego, so apologies for that. Anyways, all right, so I think that's pretty much it for today. I definitely want to thank everyone for coming on and being on this chat. Um, uh, and I definitely see the fights going on. I see Black Film Guild saying Cardano is vaporware. Charles is a great speaker. Who knows if it's vaporware? And I hate they got multi assets to being deployed, huh? So I'll take the neutral stance here on everything. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. I definitely want to thank you guys so much for coming on to this show. I'm definitely looking at feedback today on today's episode. So today, like I said, it's a very different episode because it's much more focused on the altcoins and what is happening here. Yeah, we'll do Monday stream, which is gonna be more kind of general news. So sorry, Friday and Monday is the more of the general news. Let me schedule the stream right now whilst we're at it. Tell me if you like this format. I get to sit down when I do these ones, but I do see that the camera is like losing focus a lot, so I'll have to see if it's good or not. But do tell me, guys. Do tell me if it's if you guys like the sitting down versus the standing up thing as well. Let me see. Let me clone a Friday thing. Cryptocurrency live stream. Cryptocurrency live stream. Read your settings. Friday cryptocurrency. Friday cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin live stream. Let's get that on the road. Also today I'm so hungry. Like I did not eat breakfast today, man. Just offsidedly. I did not eat breakfast. That was not smart doing a live stream without breakfast. Like half the time when I was talking, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so hungry. I'm so darn hungry. Um yeah, so let me see. Sweaty Bee says, sit down, relax. All right, so this is a stream for our next session. So this is going to be here. I just want to saw a comment that was interesting. So that was a live stream. So it's going to be up in 46 hours. So guys, come on the live stream there. Why is this not showing up? Let me see. Oh, I know why. This live stream here. This was one. Here we go. That's the live stream for next session. We got the crypto thing says camera has difficulty in focusing, might need to adjust it, but otherwise fine. I think I'm using the Z cam here. So this is a different camera. Their autofocus is definitely not as good. I can definitely see it focus hunting a lot. Yeah, I might be able to lock it and that might be good. That could work a lot better. I saw a comment earlier which was about Charles at Box Mining. Did you see Charles' tweet about with the Trident against Ethereum, such a toxic guy? I think there's actually a lot of beef between him and Ethereum Foundation. Charles, was one of the early co-founders with Ethereum, right? So he did have some input, but they definitely disagreed on a lot of stuff. So I felt like there's probably a lot of emotional baggage between these guys, and I definitely felt that when I was talking to people who were on the inside. So people who were early stage investors in Ethereum, they definitely sensed there was a lot of tension going on between the communities there. So yet again, I feel like that was kind of the case. I said XYW says boomer don't like changes, prefer old style video. Okay, I definitely accept that that comment. What do you think about Casper Labs? Says Johan. Not too sure. I mean, Casper was meant to be working on scaling solutions, but yet again, I think there was a breakup within the team. I'm not privy to happen internally. What happened between the Casper team and Casper Labs, and what happened between Vlad and the rest of Casper Labs, but I wish them all the best. I have to see there. yeah. So I think I hope that answers their question. There's gonna be a lot to research there and a lot of the research I don't think I can research unless I know what really happened there. But we'll have to see what's happening. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today. We got Smart Altcoin says no plants showing on camera. What's happening with plants? Stay tuned on next Friday. I think that's pretty much it, guys. I definitely want to say, guys, have a happy day. Be smart. El Matico says, can I buy merch from you? We didn't sell the merch, we just gave them away. I didn't have time to set up, but we'll do another giveaway very soon for the merch and everything going on. I'm pretty excited as well. If you guys are in Hong Kong, there's gonna be something cool happening in Tsim Sha Tsui very soon. New Bitcoin stuff happening. So if you guys are in Hong Kong, stay tuned about that. And with that, guys, I want to end this episode. I want to thank you guys all for coming in, smashing up the likes. See you guys on Friday. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening in the box mining ecosystem. First and foremost, if you guys like listening to all that's happening in crypto on the go, then I would highly recommend you checking out the Box Mining Bitcoin Out of the Box podcast. And the reason why it's called Bitcoin Out of the Box is because we have long interview segments very much exploring the detail of the newest and latest of what's going on in this whole cryptocurrency space. Whole idea of it is to bridge that gap between knowledge privileged institutional investors and the rest of us here in this space. Now, with the podcast, it's on everything. So it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on Spotify. Just search it anywhere, Bitcoin Out of the Box. So just add that onto a playlist and then just follow the new episodes when it's released. Next up, we also have the Box Mining newsletter. So this happens roughly bi-weekly. We give you an update of the latest that's going on in a very summarized, condensed format. So this is perfect for anyone that wants an overview of the market. Say, for example, what's happening with OKX, the biggest event, or maybe the little things like what's happening with different coins and overall the trend. So what I use the newsletter for personally myself is to understand what kind of phase we're in crypto, to kind of get in tune. So if you don't read crypto every day, the newsletter is perfect for you. Last but not least, in the link down below, if you're a Telegram user, we have the Box Mining announcements channel. So this is to announce to you basically what's the latest videos coming up, but also we have a daily update, a community-driven daily update to provide you an idea of the latest updates on the day. And a lot of people have been using that to get informed of the crazy amounts of trends that we see. And I have to give a big thank you for Claudio, our community member, for doing this. It's just been phenomenal. Definitely want to give you a shout out there, Claudio, as well for that. And taking us to the end of the live stream, so make sure, number one, you click like and subscribe on this video because it really does help this channel. And then, of course, check out the podcast. It's one of the best ways to know a little bit more, to extend that knowledge, especially in your spare time. And then, of course, check out the newsletter. If you're, if you want those updates and summaries and trends, newsletter is the place for you. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have a good one. See you in the next video.